Just when you thought things could not get any worse for the entrepreneurial dump divers in the WNBA, just when you thought ratings for Unrivaled could not get any lower, America sends a clear message. Actually, America sent them a clear reminder. We're not interested in watching pretend basketball. Doesn't matter how much you change it. Doesn't matter how hard you try to make it interesting by inventing rules that guarantee that games are close in the fourth quarter. Americans are clearly not interested in watching pretend basketball. That's not my opinion. It's a fact. You know, one of my favorite shows on TV is The Challenge, comes on MTV. I have been watching this show for over 20 years. Every summer when there's no NFL or NBA to occupy my time, I will rewatch old seasons of The Challenge on Paramount+. The old seasons are classic. They aired during the golden era of reality television, when the cast wasn't worried about their image, they weren't worried about social media followers, they damn sure weren't worried about your feelings or offending some lonely wanker spanker. The only thing they were worried about was making great television. Star of the show is a dude named Johnny Bananas. He's a very polarizing cast member, which is the reason that he has been the star of the show over the last 20 years. 10 or so years ago, one of the females on the cast, she had been through an absolutely grueling season. She was constantly being thrown into eliminations and she kept winning. Everything the entire season seemed to be working against her, but she kept fighting. It was the classic underdog story. Right before the final challenge, where the winner takes home, I think it was $250,000 back then, there was one final elimination. During the previous elimination, Cara Maria, the underdog, she had injured her hand. She was forced to wear a cast to compete, and it was obviously hindering her performance. It was up to Johnny Bananas and another female cast member to determine who would be competing in the last elimination. Now, obviously, the female wanted to throw in anyone besides Cara Maria. She felt sorry for her. She had been through so much to get to this point, and she just desperately needed someone to give her a break. Johnny Bananas, he refused to budge. He was thinking about the final. What if I get paired with her and she can't perform? She's going to cost me $250,000. They were at a stalemate, and if they didn't get on the same page, they would be going into the final elimination themselves. But Bananas still would not budge. While they were deliberating, he said something to Nani that I have never forgotten. When it comes to money, when it comes to business, you cannot make decisions based on emotion. Last year, after a partnership that lasted over 3 decades, TNT lost their broadcast rights to the NBA. Several weeks later, they signed a 6-year agreement with Unrivaled worth $100 million. A 6-year agreement with a startup. TNT gave $100 million to an unproven commodity. Well, actually, it was a proven commodity. We have 30 years of evidence that proves women's basketball does not draw on television. We have 30 years of evidence that proves Americans are not interested in women's basketball. They're interested in Caitlin Clark, which is why TNT offered her $1 million to join this polished turd. But in terms of the on-court product itself, people are not interested. And again, that's not my opinion. That's not me being a meanie or a misogynist. We have 30 years of ratings from the WNBA that prove you are not interested. From the outside looking in, it appears that TNT might have made an emotional decision, a decision based in panic. They lost the NBA. They desperately needed something to replace it. All of a sudden, this nicely polished turd appears and TNT latches onto it. Ooh, I love you like a fat kid loves cake. I hope TNT has an out clause. I hope this contract was performance-based, because if it's not, TNT just threw $100 million into the abyss. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Later today on the second channel, going to be talking about ratings for the national championship in college football and possible reasons that ratings have continued their decline over the last few years. You know, it amazes me how the mainstream media chooses to cover leagues that they sympathize with. Over the last weekend, I kept hearing about how great Unrivaled was performing on social media. Our impressions are amazing! People consumed hundreds of thousands of minutes of our elite content. When we talk about NFL ratings, how many times have we talked about watch hours on social media or watch minutes on social media? When we talk about ratings in cable news, how many times have we mentioned views on Instagram or Twitter? None. Why? Because it's not an accurate representation of popularity. Matter of fact, it can be incredibly misleading. When I am looking at my analytics on YouTube, I am looking at two things: views and average view duration. Those two metrics tell me everything I need to know. If views and AVD are high, tells me that you guys are interested in the topic. If views are high and AVD is low, tells me that the topic didn't hold your interest, or more than likely, I did not hold your interest. Social media analytics can be misleading, which is why leagues that struggle in the ratings prefer to use them. Headline at USA Today: TNT announces that 3 million people tuned into Unrivaled during opening weekend. What? Excuse me? 3 million? Am I missing something? Do I need to call Mina Kimes? Because either my calculations are way off and I need the mathematical brilliance of ESPN's premier pretend NFL analyst, or TNT is lying. I don't like to accuse anyone of lying, so I initially thought that TNT was including social media numbers. I thought they were combining ratings from social media with the audience that they drew on television. According to USA Today, TNT is claiming that 3 million people tuned in on cable. Well, that's strange. According to my calculations, the first slate of games on Friday and Monday, they did not break 1 million viewers combined. And it's not just my calculations. Headline at the Sports Business Journal: Unrivaled averaging 204,000 viewers to date. Monday night, there were 2 more games broadcast on TNT. The first game was between the Vinyl and the Phantom. Interesting choice of words, Phantom. It perfectly describes their ratings. Their audience is a ghost. They literally cannot find people willing to watch. This game drew 187,000 viewers. Game 2 featured the Laces in the Mist, another perfect name for a team since the players are professionals at missing layups. During the broadcast, the handful of viewers, they were constantly confused by the announcers. Every time they heard missed, they didn't know if the announcers were describing the team or describing the shots. Guess it doesn't really matter since they're one and the same. The layup missers drew 120,000 viewers. In the span of 72 hours, Unrivaled lost over 60% of its audience. Their debut Friday night averaged around 311,000, which was bad enough. By the time we get to Monday, TNT was counting viewers by the dozen. But that's okay. TNT released another exciting announcement touting the success of Unrivaled. You guys won't believe this! We have sold out every game! We can't print these tickets fast enough! Of course, this is also misleading. The venue that Unrivaled is playing in, it holds just over 800 people, which basically means friends and family, they are supporting the league while everyone else fails to acknowledge their existence. Question is, why? Why is Unrivaled dead on arrival? Why are they struggling to draw an audience? According to the media, this league is filled with star power. Check out these A-listers: Chelsea Gray, Joel Lloyd, Jackie Young, and the biggest star of them all, Angel Reese. These women are huge stars. Who, and who? Angel Reese might be well known. Angel Reese may be a star on social media, but there's a huge difference between a star and a draw. The truth is, Angel Reese is not a draw. She wasn't a draw at LSU. Well, KC, that's bullshit. She put women's basketball on the map. Millions of people were watching Angel Reese. No, millions of people were watching Caitlin Clark. Go check out games with Angel Reese that don't involve Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese couldn't sell out home games, wasn't selling out at LSU. She damn sure isn't selling out the dump in Chicago. Caitlin Clark is selling out everywhere she goes. Last season, the WNBA had to move road games out of high school gyms into actual NBA arenas just to accommodate the demand. The main reason Unrivaled is failing, they have not given you a reason to watch. The sport of basketball, it's similar to UFC, maybe professional wrestling. The game itself is not enough to draw the interest of the casual fan. In order for basketball to draw, you need two things: stars and drama. Think about it. What is one of the biggest complaints in the NBA? The players are too friendly and there's not enough rivalries. I cannot stand the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are foul merchants. They play dirty defensively, but my hatred for the Thunder, it is a healthy hatred. They're good for the league because they make me hate them. Besides Caitlin Clark, the main reason the WNBA was in the mainstream last season, it was all the drama. The media, they weren't talking about the actual games. They were talking about the jealousy. They were talking about the hatred of Caitlin Clark. They were talking about the constant whining and complaining. Unrivaled is missing both of those components. They don't have a mainstream draw and they don't have the drama. Without Caitlin Clark involved, the other players, they don't have anyone to hate. They don't have anyone to be jealous of. Everyone is friends, and friendship makes for bad television. The good news for Unrivaled, it's still early. There's only been a handful of games played. They have plenty of time to grow the league. Bad news is, it can get a lot worse. I'm more interested in seeing how TNT handles Unrivaled going forward. TNT is investing millions of dollars into this league. Can't make money on attendance because the venue is too small. You're paying these players six figures and they are barely drawing ratings in the six figures. I know the contract is 6 years, but I would assume, or at least I would hope, TNT has performance clauses in the contract because otherwise they are screwed. Give me your thoughts on this. Unrivaled ratings go from almost nothing to nothing. This league is essentially dead on arrival. Only positive is that it's still early, but I don't know how they're going to do it. The NBA has been trying to monetize this turd for the last 30 years. The NBA can't monetize the WNBA when players are making minimum wage. I don't see how TNT is going to do it while players are making $200,000 a year. You tell me how this is going to work. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.